Hello and welcome to KidLife Small Talk with Kit House and Melissa Burke. This is the weekly show for parents and servants in kid life. How are you, Melissa?
Doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's August. We've kind of had some cool down, but right now it's really hot. But we're getting back into our fall routines,
Yeah.
and so it feels more like fall. And I'm excited. This is
I am too.
probably my favorite time of year. Not right now, but like we're getting into.
Yeah.
my
It's
favorite
been really
time of
fun
year.
starting to plan and
Yeah.
not start. I've been planning for a while, but like implementing.
We're just throwing this together at the
Whipping
last
it.
minute.
No, I feel
People are
prepared.
coming tomorrow. What are we going to do?
I feel prepared.
We prepare so hard. Like that part is not a joke. Melissa prepares so hard. Well, what was interesting, important, or fun about the last week?
Last Wednesday night, we hosted 46 KidLife teachers. We had some good food. We had pasta, and it was delicious. And then just a really good training time together where we really focused in on like why we're here and why we're doing this and how important it is to be intentional in what we're doing with the kids. And I just felt like it was a sweet time. The tables were all full. Like it just
Yeah.
felt really nice to be all together.
Yeah.
So
And it was great training. It was a great reminder of who we serve and why and what the impact of it is. And that's just so it's very heartwarming.
yeah, I may have like cried in front of all of them. I don't know.
I
Like,
think I
it's all-
cried behind all of
It's
them.
all a blur.
It's getting dusty in the NPR, if you know what I mean. That's great. And then we had training all through the church. You know, this is kind of the week of
Yeah.
getting everything reset. Was there anything else from the week or the weekend that stood out?
Just really like seeing God's hand in everything right now. Like things are falling into place. You know, teacher needs that I've been searching for a while. Like it's just like right on time, right as
Yeah.
you know. So I'm just very thankful of that. People are stepping up to serve, and God is providing. So yeah.
That's good. Well, thinking about this coming Wednesday night, what is in store for us?
Okay, so this Wednesday night we are going to meet out in the garden, and this is for all parents. If you have a kid 3 years old through 6th grade, going into 6th grade, I want you to come out to the garden, and we're going to talk about. First of all, you'll get to meet the teachers for the KidLife Discipleship semester. You will get to hear a couple of the songs we're going to be leading the kids in. Did I say something funny?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And then like some fun games, but then I'm also going to kind of dig deeper into like what we're teaching this semester and how you can help your kids at home process through what we're talking about at church.
Yeah,
So.
that's great. And this is really where, you know, it's true. We partner with parents to disciple kids, so it's not us doing the discipling. You know, we don't want people just drop kids off and let us do all the work.
Right.
We want to work together on it.
I very much want parents to know what we're talking about so that whenever the kids get home to them, they have the right questions to ask to talk to them about what they're trying to sort through. Like these kids are sorting through that information. I don't want them to do it alone. So,
And I was smiling / evilly laughing when you were saying introduce the teachers,
Oh,
because I've already
yeah.
got a teacher that was like giving me grief over being introduced
Yeah.
from.
Kit likes to make a
last
deal
year.
out of them, and I think that's good. So,
I like to keep people on their toes,
yeah.
and I think
Don't be nervous, though.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good.
yeah. And as a parent, again, come with your kids. It's not going to take the part that we do with parents and kids is not going to take a super long time,
Right.
and there's going to be some snacks and stuff.
So we'll keep the kids with us for the
Yeah.
first 30 minutes. And then I'm going to send them with some student life helpers and Kaylin to the inflatables. At that point, they'll be able to have popcorn and popsicles and kind of have some time to play while we sit and talk about a few important topics for the semester. And then it won't take up all the time. So then
Yeah.
the kids are welcome to jump until 8 p.m. or you pull them when you're ready to go home. So
Yeah, exactly. And there will be time to visit afterwards.
yeah, time
so
for fellowship, time to
parents
be with one another.
can be human adults for a little bit.
Yes.
And not
we'll
just
watch your kids on the
parenting.
inflatables
And
while you
then
guys have
while
some
you
time to
visit.
talk. It's going to be really fun.
Yes, I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it. This Sunday, we're talking about Ecclesiastes and how Solomon thought about life which I think is a funny title that Gospel Project chose. What did he think about life? Were these
Was it
bright
good?
thoughts or dark thoughts?
It is Ecclesiastes, so we
Yes.
kind of can assume like
Yeah.
his thoughts, but yeah.
Well, and I don't think this will be the last time we hear about Ecclesiastes this fall. Foreshadowing.
Yes.
But I love Ecclesiastes, and I've grown to love it more as I've gotten older, because even though it sounds so negative and dark and heavy, I think it's a great acknowledgement and proclamation of the truth that there's nothing in life that will satisfy you apart from God. And there's a lot more, there's a lot of depth in Ecclesiastes and a lot of richness, but for anyone that feels like there should be more and it just seems like there's not in life, you're not the first person that's thought that, and the wisest person thought that too. And then where does that take you to? Because if that's where it ends, woe is you. But if that takes you to a place where now you're seeking something that's more than just how busy can I be, how happy can I be, how smart can I be, that's what we want people to see from Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
How do you communicate that to kids? Well, just put it in their minds. Like there's more to life than just
Things.
Filling it with things, with material experiences or things. So it's a great lesson, and it is definitely applicable.
It's so important for just getting the perspective right on, worldly desires versus eternal, glory. So I'm a big fan as well. So that's going to be a good Sunday.
And then upcoming events, what do we have kind of coming in?
So a week from this Wednesday is August 20th, and that is our KidLife Discipleship Kickoff. So that's the night where you can drop your kids off here at 6 p.m., go to your community group. Those are going to launch as well, or, whatever you would normally do. You drop them off and then pick them up again at 8 p.m., and it's going to be a great first night of KidLife Discipleship. So we're really excited. I'm excited for what the Lord's doing and how it's all going to unravel. So
yeah.
And then do you want to talk about the Impel Kickoff?
Yeah, so in, I guess, 2.5 weeks, we'll have a Saturday night where we meet with all the Impel preteens, and we've done some things with like the new preteens, but this is the big event that kind of kicks off and we'll play some games. It'll be kind of like a game show themed night, and it's really fun. Like I love making the games, and I love hosting the night, and our kids love it too. So there will be food, just RSVP on Realm.
Is it at your house or is it here? Or?
It'll be here in the NPR, and it'll be a fun night.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for a special topic. We're going to be talking about shows and movies, and as parents and as parents listening to this, we just want to have a discussion about how do you kind of manage or oversee the things that your kids watch on TV and on screens. And this is more of a discussion than a kind of a disclaimer. This is not like a fully formed authoritative, this is how you should do this.
Yeah.
Because we are not prepared to tell every parent
we are not perfect
how to do
either.
a better job than we are doing at managing our kids, what they watch. So with that disclaimer out of the way, first question, how was this handled when you were growing up? Like, what do you want to tell us about like your experience or your memories as a kid watching things?
So I grew up, so I grew up maybe in a house where it was not strict. So I wasn't say I had like free reign of anything, but I was not closely monitored in what I needed to be watching or doing. And I also don't feel like there was conviction. I was not Christian at that time of this is right versus wrong. And so, I didn't watch a lot of like crazy shows, but I also was able to just do what I wanted. So it wasn't necessarily bad, but it also wasn't healthy either. So
yeah, and this is not a criticism of our upbringing by any means. This is just kind of like a where are we coming from kind of thing. And my experience, and some of it is because like when I was a kid, we watched, we didn't have cable for most of the time that I was like going through grade school. And we almost never had premium cable. So like pretty limited on what we could be exposed to. But then it was the VCR age, and we did go to the movie store and rent movies.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of movies that thinking about my kids watching them now, it's like, are my kids ready to see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom at the age that I saw Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? It kind of terrifies me to think about trying to do that with them. And so that's not to say that like, oh, I was scarred for life by it. That's actually kind of one of the things that I thought as we were talking about this topic was, I think as parents we kind of worry like every little thing I do is going to have this permanent, unalterable effect on our kids, and we want to be guarded, and certainly there's stakes involved, but it's also not
we turned out okay.
Yeah, right. I'm not in prison.
It's not
I
necessarily
don't
the
regularly
standard.
rip people's hearts out of their chests. It's a very infrequent thing.
Yeah.
So,
Thank goodness.
so that was kind of where we came from. And like, probably, and I think most people are this way, the tolerance for things that were appropriate on like the violence level was probably a lot higher than some of the other categories of like, is this a good thing to be watching? So yeah. So second question, how do you manage this with your kids?
Well, trying to like learn from how I was raised and how I would like my kids. So they do not have free reign of the television. They do have to ask before they can watch it. And then we have limited shows that they can watch. So Justin and I, like, we don't necessarily pre-screen, but we can kind of go through and figure out, like, is this edifying or is this not? And so some shows that don't have any good, like, we've just told them, like, no, like, that we're not going to do that. So my kids are pretty obedient in that, and they sometimes question, like, why, but I mean, they know what they can and can't watch. So
yeah, that's something that I found with our kids too, is there's been times when we've kind of gotten into a show and reached the point where we thought, either because we just paid more attention, or because the kind of the track of the show shifted a little bit, or didn't shift but just kind of kept progressing, where we thought, I don't think we should watch this show anymore.
Right.
And that's really hard, and especially if it's something that you've got, toys that you've already invested in that they're attached to. And so sometimes we say, it's okay to play with, but we're just not going to watch this show anymore. And that's hard, but it's never, like a week later, I mean, they might ask to watch it again, but they moved on. That's the one thing, is there's no shortage of things to watch or entertain yourself with.
And you might get to this question later. I don't want to like overstep, but like, if we're watching a show and something comes on that I'm like, oh, I don't want to ignore it, we have a discussion. So like, hey, there's a same-sex couple in the show and we should not be watching this, and this is why. Like, I feel this way towards this. And so I want my kids to know truth. I want them to know, like, I'm not just like trying to like cover something up. Like, I want them to know why we believe what we believe, and why I'm saying no to that, because it's not out of just me wanting to be a mean mom. It's out of intentionality. So.
And this is part of the way that we've structured things too, where we have really one TV in our house. It's in the living room. And I had my own TV when I was a kid that we would watch shows on when I was 8, 9, 10. And again, I turned out fine. But because we only have the one TV, there's a little bit of like friction over who gets to choose what we watch sometimes. But it also means that we know everything that we're watching, and or for the most part, and we don't have screens in our bedrooms, and so that's kind of helped us to manage that somewhat. And then, like you said, if we see something that's, and to me, there's a difference between this show includes things that are not good versus this show promotes things that are not good. Or the show kind of like tacitly promotes it, like it doesn't raise any objections or consequences to it. And so some shows, the kids are kind of like bratty or whiny, and that's just the way the show goes. And after a while, it's like, I don't think this is a good example. And there's other shows where like there's negative things, but like they're presented as negative, and there's a little more of a there's consequences to the things that people do.
Yeah.
And so we don't just want it to be like, oh, there's no stakes here. It's all just happy fuzzy good. It's okay for there to be some tension and some complexity even in a kid's show. We just want to make sure that it's not being presented, if there's something negative, it's not being presented in a positive light either. And that's hard with some things, because in culture there are things that Christians and non-Christians agree on, and there's a lot that we disagree on for important reasons. So what are other things that you look for in what your kids watch? Is there anything in particular that like you try to steer them towards? Or
I think, like I said, I want it to be something that it isn't just going to make them stare at a screen and not grow from anything. But TV is so hard to like find a balance of like, it's not a babysitter, so like it needs to be there for a reason, for a short amount of time. And so I want the shows to be, I'd like for them to be like motivational. I want them to be able to learn something. I want them to be able to maybe see growth in a character. But some of that I don't figure out until we're like watching it together. So
some of the shows that we like to watch, like I always like shows that are slower and more subdued, even if they're kind of like wacky or goofy. There's like a pacing to shows where it's like, this is just kind of, it's just shapes just moving kind of at breakneck speed. And there's other shows where it's like, okay, there's a rhythm to it, there's thought put into it, you're encouraged to think as you watch it. And we watch some children's shows that are, they deal a lot with friendships and relationships in a good way, and present things with some depth and complexity. So that's always something I'm looking for. We kind of tend to steer away from shows that are just shapes and colors and jokes and jumping from one thing to the next. I'm more resistant to those. Any other yellow or red flags that you watch for and what your kids watch?
YouTube is a thing, and so like we don't let our kids watch YouTube unless we are in the room, and it's very selective. So like I would rather them, the ads are just so scary to me. So like they don't really have any freedom there. I would find a video and then we watch it together and then we turn it off, because like the way things flow into the next, it's terrifying. And so like they love Dude Perfect, but we just watch that on their app. So like I would rather them stay away from YouTube altogether. So it's only if there's like a one video or we're watching as a family, but like YouTube is my scary, like, what are they going to see that I can't, edit or like turn off quick enough?
And we've even done some, like, this is going up on YouTube, and I put some videos up on YouTube in the past for like preteen things, and we kind of try to do some fun things where it's like, hey, go to this link and you can watch this video. Especially like I was out of town for several weeks one year, and so we tried to produce some content so they could see some things while I was gone, and then discovered, oh, the algorithm does not consider what we're comfortable with them seeing. And so that was a stressful lesson, but it was fine. No one was scarred for life as far as we can tell. And then one of the other things that kind of like yellow, red flags is like, I don't just lump everything from different production companies but I think it is important to consider the source of what you're watching, and do they have an agenda? Have they kind of been faithful with things in the past, or so that's not an automatic write-off, but it's something. And then one of the things I'm big on is what are the themes here? So if and especially movies, because movies are thematic, like they have a message, and the message has increasingly become very self and inward focused, and very kind of like there's sort of a paranoia or a conspiratorial or a distrust of authority in all kind of like all situations, that like I don't want my kids to go through life thinking, oh, if there's someone in charge of me, that person can't be trusted, is trying to do some sort of devious thing, and I am justified in like rebelling against that authority. That is sometimes the case. I mean, that's what our country was in some ways founded on. But I mean, that wasn't, the American Revolution isn't about rebelling against authority. It is, submitting to a different authority. And so themes and messaging to me is almost more important than just the content of the kind words and the is there or is there not violence. I'm somewhat more concerned of like, what's the point here? What are we driving at? And I think you should watch things with a careful eye towards that messaging. Yeah. What about discussing shows with your kids? You said you have conversations when you see something objectionable.
I mean, I think that there's like, I am trying to have honest conversations, especially with Elliot. She's preteen, and like we're getting into like all the hard topics, and so I'm trying to have these talks with her. But like, my kids like the show Full House, and it has presented opportunities for me to be like, well, that's not what we believe, and that is not, you know what I mean? So like,
there's objectionable content in Full House.
Yeah. So just things that I want my kids to be aware. I don't want them to live in a bubble, but I also want them to be aware by biblical truth, grounded next to worldly opinion. And so, there's conversation that happens in those. I will ask with intentional, like, do you understand what they're talking about here? Or do you understand what's actually happening here? Or, why do we think this is wrong? Or, and try to like have open conversations so that whenever she gets to school or these topics come up again, it's not just my mom told me no, that's bad. It's this is what I believe. This is what God's word said, and this is why we do this. So like even shows like Full House that I'm not saying are great for kids to watch, but like it allows our kids to see right versus wrong, and as long as we're being honest with our kids about that, and we're being present with them while they're watching the show, and we're not just turning it on so that we can go do other things. So.
Yeah, and I think that's one of you brought up something that reminded me of another thing that I look for is, how is the family portrayed in this? Are the parents kind of worthless? Are they idiots? Are the kids smarter than the parents? Are they an obstacle that the kids have to get around?
Right.
And you need to address that, or just, I think, eliminate it if that's the message that's coming across from something that you're watching. But like you said, those conversations can kind of go in two directions. It can be, oh, we're watching the show, and here's how that interacts with what we know, the truth from Scripture, in a good or negative way. Like, this is like this story, or this is the way this is presented, but this is what the Bible says that's different from that.
Yeah.
And then it can go from, as we're reading the Bible or studying the Bible, we can talk about, this is like what happens in the show that you watch, in good and bad ways. Like, I've had conversations with my kids where I said, this is one of the problems that I have with this show, is that here's what the Bible says, and when you think about it, that's not what it's talking about. And that's not always like a death sentence for whatever the program is, but it's got to at least be an opportunity to discuss it.
Yeah, and just making sure like my kids know, like, I don't want them to leave and be like, my mom's so mean she wouldn't let me watch that. Yeah. I want them to think, my mom has reason for why we shouldn't watch that, and I'm going to respect that and honor that, because we are growing in our walk with the Lord, and we are growing together as a family in our walk with the Lord too. So
yeah. All right. Well, anything else we didn't cover?
Man, these deep dives. Whew.
Yeah.
Please don't take our words for like truth, or every parent is different, and not all kids watch Full House, and I don't know. I'm sorry
Yeah,
if that upsets you.
trying as hard as possible not to say these are the shows you should watch, but then here's the ones you definitely shouldn't, because that's where we have to exercise parental discernment.
And then you parent your kids the way God has called you to parent your kids, but align it with biblical truth.
Yeah. And we definitely don't want to make anyone feel bad and think, oh, I'm doing a terrible job. I'm a bad parent because I'm like, we're trying to be vulnerable in how hard this is, but some of the things that we think are important about it. So if you've got any thoughts on that or want to tell us what a terrible job we did talking about it, you're welcome to email me at khouse@lifepointozark.com.
Yeah. Email him.
I'll make sure and forward that to Melissa.
Yeah.
And anything else before we go?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, until next time, keep growing in Christ, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.